my conversation with Claude. So I asked about the big, beautiful bill, and this is the feedback I received. Welfare cuts in the big, beautiful bill will not transfer to corporations or increase wages to livable levels. Here's why. The bill's structure contains approximately 295 billion in SNAP cuts, 30% reduction, with over 2 million people losing benefits. Shifts 5% of SNAP costs to states starting in 2028. There are budget cuts, not transfers to wage subsidies. Economic reality: there's no mechanism in the bill that redirects welfare savings to corporate wage requirements or subsidies. The cuts are designed to reduce government spending, not create alternative wage support systems. Corporate behavior: corporations paying below living wages do so based on market conditions and legal minimums, not because welfare programs exist. Removing welfare support doesn't create economic pressure for wage increases. It typically increases labor desperation, potentially depressing wages further. Historical evidence: similar welfare cuts in the past, like 1996 welfare reform, didn't result in corporations raising wages to compensate. Market wages determined by supply demand and regulatory framework, not welfare availability. The bill's primary beneficiaries are higher income earners through tax cuts, while low wage workers face reduced safety net support without corresponding wage protections. Correct. The current welfare system effectively subsidizes low wage employers by allowing them to pay below subsistence wages while taxpayers cover the gap through programs like SNAP, Medicaid, and housing assistance. How subsidy works: companies like Walmart, McDonald's, Amazon pay wages so low that full time workers qualify for government benefits. Taxpayers fund these programs, essentially covering the difference between what workers need to survive and what employers pay. This allows corporations to maintain higher profit margins while externalizing labor costs to the public. The economic logic: the question touches on whether eliminating this indirect subsidy would force companies to internalize true labor costs by raising wages. In theory, if workers couldn't survive on current wages without government support, employers would need to pay more to maintain their workforce. Why it likely won't work? Workers without benefits face immediate hardship and become more desperate, potentially accepting even lower wages. Companies can automate, reduce hours, or relocate rather than raise wages. No corresponding minimum wage increase or labor protections in the bill. The transition period will create significant economic disruptions for workers. Historical precedent: when similar cuts occurred in the 1990s, wages didn't rise proportionally. Instead, poverty increased and working conditions deteriorated as workers had less leverage. The subsidy problem is real, but simply cutting benefits without addressing wage floors typically harm workers more than it pressures employers. Yes, that's likely outcome based on economic evidence. Increased economic inequality. It removes safety net from bottom income tiers while providing tax cuts to higher earners. Widens the gap between those who can survive economic shocks and those who cannot. Concentrates more wealth at the top while increasing desperation at the bottom. Labor market effects. Workers without benefits become more economically vulnerable and desperate. Increased desperation reduces workers' bargaining power and ability to refuse exploitative conditions. Creates a larger pool of people willing to accept substandard wages and working conditions. Employers gain more leverage over workforce decisions. Systematic impact forces people into economic dependency on employers rather than having basic social supports. Reduces workers' ability to leave bad jobs, start businesses, or invest in education training. Creates conditions where people must accept whatever work is available, regardless of pay or conditions. Historical pattern. This mirrors historical company town dynamics where workers become dependent on employer survival needs, reducing their economic freedom and bargaining power. The bill essentially shifts the economic pressure from corporations who currently benefit from taxpayers' subsidized labor costs to individual workers while removing the social supports that provide any alternative to accepting whatever employers offer. The result is greater economic coercion rather than genuine market driven wage increases.